What do you think?
I think we're dead meat. Real dead meat.
You dead meat!
Go ahead and laugh, you guys. If I ever find a little bastards that did this, they're dead meat.
Welcome to the Dead Meat Podcast, your horror safe haven. I'm Chelsea.
I'm James, and we're married, and we like to get scared together. We just had a little break that I could have ran and gotten my ring, but I forgot it still.
Yeah, it's okay. This is our second time trying to start this episode. It's hot in here. We've got a fan on. If you can hear it, sorry. It's like 100 degrees
I'm not
outside.
sorry.
Anyway, we've got our friend Chauncey K Robinson here.
Hi.
Returning for her second appearance on the podcast after the John Carpenter episode.
Yes.
Many years ago now.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I
Yeah.
was in the apartment.
Yep.
There was a cat, now there's a dog.
Yo, listen. I wish we could have both of them, but they're still working out some issues.
Yeah. But Chauncey will also be on the channel more in the future post-strike.
That's right.
We have been developing a show with Chauncey for years now.
Yeah.
Years ago, I was like, hey, can we do a show together? And you came up with a great idea. And then, like, years went by, you wrote all the scripts. Mm-hmm. And I looked over most of them, and then another couple years went by. But we're finally getting to it thanks to producer MK, who is awesome and makes things happen.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it too. I'm just excited.
Yeah, it's heavy into pre-production. We'll probably be shooting it before the end of the year, but it can't come out until the strikes are over.
Are we keeping details secret for now?
No, we can say it's Production Tales from Hell.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can say the name.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Production Tales from Hell.
That was your idea, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. Just like diving into the layers of development hell for various horror movies that people love or hate, but mostly love.
Yeah, I'm so excited. The design of it and the graphics look super cute already. So that's going to be so great. I think if you like the podcast and you like the research heavy episodes, you're going to want to check this out because that's all that's going to be. It's history and
because Chauncey, you have like a journalism background, right?
Yeah, journalism, theater. So kind of like that mixture of it. You know, that's the professional job of politics and drama in terms of government and the world and society, and then kind of bringing that into my love of movies and all of the layers that kind of affect the way that it came out, whether it's the behind the scenes, on the set, after it came out, just kind of diving into all of that good stuff.
Yeah, it's so good because some of the movies that you're looking at on the show are ones that have been covered on either the podcast or the Kill Count, but it's all new information about those. It's stuff that we don't get to on these shows. It's like the could have beens and the would have beens and the like things that went wrong, and I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, I've been really I love doing research and about history and things like that. So to be able to do this with another love of mine, which is the horror genre, has just been such a fun journey. And then just the collaborative journey has just been really fun as well. So I'm just really excited for people to see it come to fruition because it's just been so cool.
Yeah.
Seeing it come to life, and I'm just like, oh, that's so cool, like the way it's coming together.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And if you really find, if you're really interested in the current strikes going on, not even just in entertainment, but just in general, this year is kind of unprecedented, and you find maybe labor history really interesting, Chauncey's also someone you should follow because that's kind of what you specialize in writing about.
Yeah, that's my jam too. Like we're all like working people, and I just think, workers of the world are pretty much the majority, right? As we are seeing like right now with everything going on. And so it's one of the things just to kind of like, even of course, like with SAG and everything like that, you just see that no matter the industry, there's just so much going on there. So with my journalism, along with, culture and film reviews, it's also kind of talking about the real world stuff. And diving into that, whether it be with People's World, which is going on, being around for like 100 years, which is a great history to be a part of, or books and whatnot. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was talking to my dad once, and he was telling me about some labor strikes that my grandpa, his dad, would have been part of, and I wanted to learn more. And I googled it. First thing that came up, People's World. There was a whole article about it. I was
that's
all right.
our jam.
I remember
It's so
I messaged
great.
you about it. I was like, "Here's the thing, small world."
Isn't wobblies a term? Is
Wobblies there?
Yeah. Isn't that IWW maybe?
I feel like that's IWW.
Is that International Workers of the World? Is that like a overarching labor union?
There's a lot.
Yeah,
There's,
it's like bubbling
left.
up from AP history, you know? Like,
yeah, and I think, it's one of the things, like, if we love what we do, like, we love talking about stories, whether, even if they're fiction, and just this art of talking about film, of being in films, television and stuff. One of the ways that it can flourish is if the people who make it happen are able to have a quality of life. And if they don't have a good quality of life, the art suffers, and so I think that's the meshing of it, whether people feel removed from it or not, it comes together because no one, if you want people to do this full time and to like be able to do it, they have to be able to make a life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're talking about Talk to Me, which is apparently because A24 met the demands of WGA and SAG, it is okay to talk about Talk to Me. Apparently.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Hey, YouTubers making a movie. That's
right.
exciting.
Yeah. Raka Raka. I don't know
Raka.
if that's how it's pronounced. Could be Raka Raka. Who knows?
I think
They're
if it's Australian, it's Raka Raka.
Raka Raka. I don't know. I'm not going to try that. Yep.
We can all try our best Australian accents.
It is twin brothers Danny and Michael Philippou. I don't know how to say anything today. But I wasn't familiar with their channel, and I'm still not. I probably should have watched some stuff before doing this episode. But just the fact that some YouTubers made a horror movie, pretty cool.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting and a good one. I remember being a little nervous when I heard about this one because it just was so. That was all I knew about it was some like YouTubers made a horror movie, and I'm like, please be good.
Well, well, I believe their channel was or is narratives. It's like shorts and
like
it says horror
heavy
comedy videos. Yeah, so
yeah.
It's not like there were some vloggers making a movie. They had already been experienced.
That's fair.
Making cinema.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. But it's still it's hard to, I guess. Can you still sustain a narrative for
that
a
long,
full length
feature
versus
length.
92
and they
minutes.
can.
Yeah.
What is, is this? It's 92.
92.
Okay.
Great.
Great.
I always look
Love
at
it.
how long a movie is so I can
Yes.
just
Same.
what can I expect?
I guess without getting too spoiler heavy at first, how do we all feel about this movie? Because I really liked it.
I also really liked it. We saw it twice. We saw it once just to see it, and then we were like, let's cover it on the podcast. So we went back and took notes. The second time, it's a good movie to see a second time, I think, because there's a lot of supernatural stuff that you're trying to figure out
It made a lot more sense the second time around, or at least I was able to kind of piece together, okay, this is what happened, and it all makes sense, and it all comes together.
I really enjoyed it for a variety of like key things, like just the diversity of the cast and just the topic that they were covering, which, one of the great things about horror is that it can be used to talk about so many real world things in such a fantastical way that's still very relatable. And at first I was a little like hesitant about it because it was dealing with grief and whatnot, and those can just be really depressing and like just triggering for people in general. So I was just like, do I want to sit through this? But I think the way they handled it and the metaphor that was coming out of it was poignant, and it had a really good atmosphere to it. It wasn't, it wasn't so much gore necessarily, but there was gore in the right places, I felt like.
Yeah, a great application of practical effects. There weren't a ton of them, but they look amazing. The skin effects on the possessed people look real gnarly, just very modeled. Yeah.
And
Unsettling.
It is bleak, and there are plenty of parts that I found like really sad about this movie and really difficult to watch, but there's enough of a balance where the entire thing doesn't feel just so gloomy.
Yeah, there are fun sequences
Yes.
that feel like a party, which is good because the movie is young kids partying around this supernatural thing. And I feel like it kind of frames this, I guess it's almost like a Ouija board, this hand. If you've seen the trailers, you've seen this plastered hand that you can hold hands with and then invite a spirit to enter your body for a short period of time. And the way that they do it makes it feel like they're doing drugs at a party. I likened it to salvia, since it is a very short duration. If anyone's unfamiliar with
I was
salvia.
like,
Yeah, what is
let
salvia?
me tell
Okay.
you about
Well, let
salvia.
me tell you,
Just
kids.
close. I don't know
Let me
what
tell you about
salvia is.
salvia. Salvia in the late 2000s, early 2010s was a legal
Yes, you
hallucinogen.
can get it at the gas station.
What?
Yeah,
Yep.
probably more at
Where?
head shops, but at least
Sure,
in
yeah.
Michigan.
Never heard of that.
But they
Yeah.
banned it pretty quickly. But it looked. You smoked it. It was like weed. It was a leaf. It is a naturally occurring plant, and it was something that you would smoke and then just go on the wildest fucking trip of your life for about 2 minutes, if that, and then you were like right back
It's
down
totally out of your
to normal.
system.
Yeah, it was wild. A lot of people who like would smoke weed would try salvia unwisely because it's a whole nother level. But it reminded me of this because they're holding this hand for 90 seconds is the limit.
Yeah.
And then they break it. And like while they're doing it, they're being possessed and doing things completely out of character, out of the ordinary.
And
that's
all
what
their
happens.
friends are gathered around them watching
Filming
and
them,
filming and laughing,
making a big
and-
joke of it. It
Yeah.
reminds me exactly of salvia and people like doing it at parties and being like, oh my God, my hand is in the machinery of these Dorito chips, and everyone around them is just like, haha, yeah. And then just, 2 minutes
Yeah.
later, they're back to normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never heard
Yeah,
that. I just
fun
learned
times in the
something.
suburbs.
Yeah. Suburban Michigan. Ain't got shit else to
Listen,
do.
it's boring there. I don't know what else to
Okay,
say. Yeah, I did think of that too, and I believe that at least one of the directors has said that they kind of based what the possessions looked like and what the experience was like on them watching friends of theirs do drugs at
Yeah.
parties.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it also, like you said, it's about grief, but it also doubles as kind of like an addiction
Mm-hmm.
metaphor because these people are doing it, and then the next day at school they're like, hey, can you come over? We want to do it again tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And then they just like keep wanting to do it. They don't want the younger kids to do it. It all feels very parallel to drugs, and I think done in a. I've never seen a supernatural possession movie where it's treated like a fun time, where they're like, that possession
Yeah.
felt amazing. It was so cool. Let's do it some more. Like, that's so unique of a spin on this.
It's kind of got the Bones and All double kind of special thing going on where it's about one thing, but it's also kind of about addiction,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is fun. Oh, by the way, the second time we saw this, we had a fucking terrible audience.
There were youths.
Just
There's
youths.
so many. There were two rows
it
of
was
youths.
2 full rows of kids, like
no.
high school age kids, and they would not shut the fuck up, and they were all on their phones. And James and I are like, we both want to say something, but there's so many of them.
I don't want to get harassed
We'll be
by youths.
outnumbered
Yeah.
by
But they're
these
like, they're
kids.
talking during the trailers, and I was like, I'm going to give them the trailers because it's
Yeah,
trailers.
I usually, if people talk during the trailers, I'm wary, but it's the trailers.
And I was also like, if they're this
It could
talkative,
be
maybe
fun. Maybe
it could
they'll-
be a
Yeah,
fun
quiet
screen.
down.
No, they didn't like jump at the jumpy parts. They
they
didn't.
reacted to none of the scares and,
And
then
then during-
talked through all of the dialogue scenes.
Yeah, it was the worst of both worlds.
bad.
It was like, at least, get involved and react to the movie.
Yeah.
So no one snuck out to tell the people out there to come tap her.
Like,
I know.
tell the ushers.
I know, I should
Like,
have.
go
it's
tap them so
something-
I don't have to do it.
Yeah, narc on them.
Yeah.
Should have.
I'm a coward. It's easy to say. I should have done it in retrospect. Especially since we'd seen it already. We have no excuse.
If it was my first screening, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, I would have
The
been
second
pissed.
screening, I was like, all right, I'll just deal with this and seethe.
Yeah.
The youths.
Theater's not your living room, kids.
Have you noticed people like on their phones in
Yeah,
theaters?
no, I feel like with everything that's happened in the past couple of years, I feel like people are still functioning like they're still in their living room.
Yeah.
And so when they're finally sitting, it's almost kind of like they like they're on their couch, you know, like,
Yeah.
but I'm that kind of person. I can't help. I don't have a poker face, and I will look. Like, I'll just, like, I went to go see a few movies, and it was just like people were just like moving around, and I'm just like,
just staring at them,
you know, especially
like
if
hoping
it's
they'll
like
get the picture.
Yeah, especially if it's a kid, because you can kind of scare them a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
And it's like I'm just, you know, and then they're like, oh, the scary lady, and it's just like, yeah, the scary
wanna get yelled
lady.
at.
Dude, at
You know?
Oppenheimer, I look over 3 seats down from me, a woman scrolling through
Oh,
Instagram.
no.
Like,
On Instagram.
On Instagram, it's opening day. We're seeing this shit 70 millimeter IMAX. Do you know how few real IMAXs there are? Person, you're in, and like, there's like this sold out for like weeks. Appreciate where you are.
Fucking.
I can't. Cillian Murphy's like 30, 40, 50 feet tall, and he's so beautiful. Appreciate it. His cheekbones were so big.
Scrolling through Instagram.
That's crazy.
In a theater. What the
That
hell?
reminded me of when James and I went to go see Hades Town on Broadway in New York. And it was towards the beginning of Act 2. There's two, like, I think maybe, I don't know, like 13, 14 years old, maybe, two kids sitting behind us. And I think one of them had their feet up on
no.
like the balcony kind of thing.
The ledge, yeah.
And we hear an usher come down and go, "Get your feet down. This isn't your house." And I'm going to remember it till I die. It was
That's theater.
so fucking
That's
funny.
theater, though.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
people get
The
real.
sass.
Like,
oh my,
in
I was
theater.
scared. I wasn't even in trouble.
Yeah.
But it was so good. I'll remember them forever.
Yeah, I've been in theater shows where like you're sitting down and someone still has on like had their phone out, and someone would just don't even know them.
Just put their hand
yeah.
over it.
Amazing.
Oh my god.
It's like the
Oh my
show's
God.
starting,
Good.
Good for them.
and it's, you can't do anything. It's just like, okay, I'm just gonna put the playbill right here,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna start.
Oh my God. Love it.
They do not play.
Yeah. Can't let people get away with that stuff.
It's so annoying.
I do recommend you see this in theaters while you can, though. Not only because the sound design is huge and big
And loud.
and loud, so it's a good one to hear with those theater speakers. But also just because this is performing really well, and you can help be a part of that. It was a budget of $4.5 million. It's already taken in $36 million,
Wow.
and is on its way to possibly being, I think, A24's highest grossing domestic feature.
Why didn't what movies overseas?
A bunch, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, that did
Oh,
really well
sure. Yeah, that
overseas,
makes sense,
and
yeah.
I think that's their top grossing ever, which is
Okay.
only at like 100 million.
Wow.
But still, and some other movies have performed better overseas, but this is on its way to doing the best domestically, I think.
Wow.
Or at least maybe best horror domestically, because Hereditary's up there now, but it's on its way to passing Hereditary.
I mean, it's similar to Hereditary. Hereditary was so word of mouth.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, and this I think is
A lot of
getting good
A24
word of
stuff
mouth.
is, yeah.
Really, I think a big part of why A24 is so successful is like those movies have such good word of mouth.
Yeah, people, you always start hearing people talk about
Mm-hmm.
it before sometimes you even see a trailer. Like even for Talk to Me, I saw one poster and it was the thing with the hand. I'm like, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
And then it's like all of a sudden you're hearing people talk to me. Now that can be a blessing or a curse though, because some movies they get hyped up.
Yes.
And that's why I was also kind of, you know, and then when you hear like, oh, it's these, you know, people who made it, who I don't know if they've ever made other movie, and I've seen some other ones where it's like, oh, you know, and it's just like, and so I was a little like hesitant, and sometimes when people say this is the scariest movie
Yes.
ever, oh my gosh, the scariest movie of all time, I'm like, I'll be a judge of that.
Yeah.
It
Like
really,
for myself.
I try not to let that affect my perception of it when I'm seeing a movie, but it's going to.
Yeah.
If you just hear nonstop buzz about it, like, all right, better be good.
Yeah, and then you have really high expectations. I think for this one, I kind of just went in there not so much for the scare factor. I went in there just thinking this is going to be depressing.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Do you feel like it was
sad.
depressing, or
I felt like it was tragic. You
Yeah.
know,
It is tragic,
I
yeah.
think, and you know, a lot of horror can be tragic. I don't mind tragic horror. I like my horror where the monster gets vanquished at the end. Usually, that's
Yeah.
just my jam. Like, you know, like Dream Warriors. It's like they rose up. You know, but you know, I can appreciate when that doesn't happen. It's just that's why I think this movie did a really good job of a balance of it, and that it didn't overstay its welcome. If it had been like 2 to 3 hours
Oh,
and
yeah.
it ended in tragedy, I would have been like all of that and she didn't win,
Mm-hmm.
like, or there wasn't a win
Yeah.
at the end. I would have been disappointed because I was like, you know, that's a long journey to get to a
Right.
tragic ending. But I felt like because of the length of it, because of that kind of moment in time we were seeing for this particular heroine, it was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there were still some really poignant, sad
Yeah.
moments, but I think it was interlaced with a lot of, you know, levity.
And fun, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Spoilerville.
All right.
Should we just kind of start at the top of the movie?
With the opening scene that is all
Oh,
one take.
And it's that the opening scene is basically going to be where the prequel ends, right? Aren't they?
Yes,
They're doing like a
Yeah,
no,
they are doing
shot,
a prequel.
They already shot the prequel,
Yeah.
and it's going to be. I believe it'll be. What did it say? Like screen. It'll be like on screens, like phones and webcams. So kind of like a.
like a found footage.
Yeah, but now we have a new term because it's not just found footage like with screen life storytelling. So stuff, you know, like searching and missing.
Yeah,
and those kind of
I
things
like
where it's
those movies
not found footage where it's like from a camera, but on
and where it's like we found this creepy fucking footage
Yeah.
in the woods where it's like there's not
No
that
one
kind
was
of
around. No
Yeah.
one has a VHS.
yeah, and all the
Or
people in
something.
this disappear. It's just it just happens to it's being told over.
like a computer
Okay.
screen or a phone screen. So
Okay.
they already filmed that. And
Like
then,
Unfriended or something.
yes, exactly.
Okay.
So they pulled the Ty West and shot it at the same time as shooting this, and then they also were greenlit for a sequel that they are writing and directing. So
Nice.
yeah,
Wow, that's
big
really-
success for them.
That's
for
really.
them.
I mean, it's well deserved though because this was a really solid story.
Yeah, and the lore of it can be applied everywhere. Like people want to know more about this hand. That the poster for this movie, you mentioned how you had seen just the poster.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I was like, is System of a Down doing a reissue or something?
I was like, okay.
That's what it looks like. Is that fucking album?
But yeah, we start at this party where
Well, we start out in the street. That's what I love. He gets like dropped off in the street, and then the camera follows him going around the house.
like a college age kid looking for his brother named
Duckett. Oi, seen Duckett?
I wrote like 5 different names down. I was like Duggan, Duckett, Duggett. I had no idea.
It is
I've
Duckett.
never heard this name in my life.
Yeah.
Duckett,
Maybe it's an Australian name.
Duckett.
Duckett. Oi, Duckett.
Yeah,
That's
I've
what
never
he
heard
says.
of Duckett before.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those fucking bumping cool kid parties. Although the mom
There's
is
a
there.
mom there who's cutting vegetables or something.
Yeah.
Who's like, Duckett's acting fucking weird. Get him out of here.
Yeah, the entire
Get
opening
Duckett's
scene
ass out of here.
is an unbroken shot as this camera follows him around the house, into the house. He breaks down a door where his brother is. His brother comes out, and then his brother fucking stabs him in the chest.
Yeah.
And then people,
Everyone's filming. They've all got.
Oh yeah, that like
I did really. That honestly did make my stomach drop a little bit because when he finally gets his brother out of this room and his brother's got a knife, right?
No, I think he grabs the knife that the mom was cutting vegetables with
I see,
off
yeah,
screen.
yeah.
But his brother's just like fucked
Just
up.
being weird, and
Yeah.
everyone's filming and laughing, and his brother is just kind of screaming and pleading. Everyone like, put your cameras away,
Yeah.
like stop filming. God, I'm so glad that I didn't have to deal with that. Mm-hmm. Like I'm old enough to where like high school, college.
Yeah, not everyone had a camera in their pocket.
Yeah, I think as like for myself as a millennial, it's just great that there wasn't a lot of like it was like still dial up AOL type thing. Like you know, you had the dial-in phone. No one had to see any of your like stuff at a party because people, you know, when you're a kid, your brain doesn't finish developing until you're like 26. I
Yeah.
think. So it's like you're gonna do a lot of which makes sense for this film too. Like you're gonna do a lot of stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And just the idea, and that's the terror of it, right? Just the idea that he's kind of, you know, so out of it. And he's, you know, even in the beginning when he's trying to find his brother, it's like he's clearly concerned and no one can register that. They're all just like, what? No, I haven't seen him. And it's like,
And then jump in the pool.
do
yeah.
you get that this guy's concern for the person he's looking for, that you can't, like, you're just so in the midst of, like, your partydom.
Yeah.
You know?
And I just think of, you know, later we kind of see some imagery of like a bunch of people kind of going after one person and like torturing one person. And I don't know, that kind of for me reminds me of the idea of a bunch of people like filming someone, or, you know, it's getting they're
You're talking about the shunting glimpses? Yeah.
It just, a bunch of people kind of ganging up on one person and filming them, making fun of them, turning them into content. And it's just, it's preying on a single person. Or the idea of you or whatever you're doing in that moment instantly belonging to a bunch of other people.
Well, yeah, it's such spectatorship that even after Duckett stabs his brother, a lot of the people behind them you see in the far background like clear out, but there are some people who are like just hanging out watching.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, he just stabs someone, he still has the knife, and you're like still hanging around to see what happens instead of running for your life.
Tale as old as time. That's
Sure.
people slowing down because there's a car accident, or that's, people watching like a fire or something.
Yeah.
It's people are gonna people, I guess.
Well, I feel like there was also just like that bystander syndrome too, where there's like something chaotic going on and people are just kind of either so shocked at it that they don't move, or, well, nowadays it ends up on, whatever the Bird app is called now. Like, it's just like, and you ask, like, why was that person still filming while this was going on? And that was even happening in the film as well. Like really drastic things are happening. And there were times when I'm just like, why are they still just standing there?
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't you intervene at this part?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
The scene ends with Duckett stabbing himself in the face.
Yeah.
Which was, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
And I thought it was powerful. They didn't like go up close on it. It was just like him in the doorway, and it was just like going back. I'm like, that's just that's good.
Sometimes
like
there's...
that's like that because it didn't have to be like some really close up part of the knife going in.
Yeah.
It was just haunting. Like his brother, he stabs him. The brother goes down. He walks. The camera's still just watching it all.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah, it's like the camera is one of those phones being held up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it doesn't look away. Right. We cut to, I'm not sure how much later it's supposed to be. I can't tell if this was a funeral or more like a memorial.
It's a memorial.
It's like your
it's her
2 years. Right? Okay, I
anniversary,
couldn't tell if that was the original like funerals or if this was the
2
year kind of memorial for our main character Mia's mother who passed away. I think the first shot we see in this sequence is of Mia picking at her nail polish.
Yeah, that's recurring.
Yeah, I wrote down, I really paid attention the second time around to all of the focus on hands in this movie, which seems obvious because that is the poster. And the
medium.
Hands, really?
But it is like the central, it's the icon of the movie. And there's so much very pointed imagery of hands doing different things, and often as like a tool of communicating with someone, or maybe it's revealing something about how someone feels. Like Mia's constantly picking her nail polish off, and to me that's, someone's anxious, they pick their nails. Like I'll pick my nail polish if I'm antsy or something.
Yeah. Mia is played by Sophia Wilde, who just gives a phenomenal performance.
Yes.
This whole cast is fucking great.
That was the other thing that really, I felt like one of the things that made this work was that I feel like if this was, I don't want to say like an American cast, because you can have great American casts or whatever, but
Sure.
it was like the stereotypical kind of teen cast where there's that sort of like, oh my gosh, man, what's going on? Like kind of a thing. I felt like all of that would have fell flat, but it was so natural the way they were all bouncing off of each other, and Mia sort of Sophia doing this with Sophie or Sophia?
Sophie,
doing this sort of like, you can tell there's something brimming underneath the surface, right? There's issues there, and she even says it, the haircut, like, because I've seen her in like other stuff, and you can tell like they really like made that choice with the way like she was coming off, and I just felt like there was something so natural about the cast despite the fantastical plot line, and I felt like that really grounded this story, because I feel like had it not been done the way they did it with the acting, I don't think it would have worked as well.
Yeah, this was not glossy teen horror.
Yeah, that's a good word. Like,
this
it wasn't
felt
glossy.
very real. Like,
and
I'm
I
going
think-
to my friend's basement to hang out. I'm just going to put on like a baggy sweatshirt. And
no girl standing up on a thing with like a halter top. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah.
I think the
like-
characters that really drive home just the very natural performance and just the kind of realistic characters are Haley and Joss.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
they're the ones who introduce the hand to the rest
I'm
of
in
the
love
characters.
with these two. They're so
Yeah.
great.
Because in a lot of other movies, they would just be pure assholes
Yes.
and purely antagonistic. But here, you know, they're definitely like the cool kids.
yes, like
And they're-
I don't smoke, but the entire time I was like, I hope I would be cool enough to smoke a cigarette with Haley and Joss. They're cool kids.
They're obviously like the troublemakers. They're the ones with the hand, but like they still, and even though Haley expresses extreme dislike of Mia right off the bat, like they wind up more or less warming up to her and also just being kind of kind to the younger brother Riley, like when they're strapping him in to do it later on, like she Haley winks at him, which and then like Joss is just a big clown.
Yeah.
I love him.
Is it a kindness or is it a, all right, we have someone else who's gonna
Fresh meat.
like
Like,
right.
but not in like, I felt like it wasn't a maniacal kind of way.
No.
It's like, oh, you're joining in on the fun.
Yeah,
Welcome
yeah.
to the party.
It's
kind
like,
of a
oh,
deal.
like the little brother is gonna get in on this too.
Yeah,
All right, cool,
yeah.
little bro. Like, yeah, you're one of us, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
exactly.
it didn't feel malicious.
Yeah.
And I just love that about these characters and their performances. How they're not just straight up assholes. They show vulnerability. They get scared, and they warm up to everyone on individual basis. Like, I loved it.
They all feel really real, especially Mia, and she's an interesting main character because she is so flawed and very
Yes.
gray, and there are times where I'm just like, oh my god, get it together, girl.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of your shit. But I think you're supposed to feel that
Definitely.
way, and that's what makes her really interesting, and often women aren't afforded the ability to be that kind of character. In especially in like a horror movie, and especially in a teen horror movie where often you've got a bunch of teen characters like this in a horror movie, you're introduced to them because the movie wants you to want to watch them die.
Yeah.
And that's not what this is.
Yeah, and I think Mia being like as complicated as she is, because there are definite flaws. Like and that whole thing of what you just said, like kind of being frustrated with her. There's also kind of that exasperation from some of her friends, right? Like her BFF, like, I'm so tired, like but that's kind of that weirdness of like, she's been grieving for 2 years and there's no timetable on that. So,
Yes.
and it's like, she's not gonna be this perfect, kind of, and even when I say her as a heroine, someone might be like, is she a heroine? But like, yeah, she is the heroine of this. I mean, she's the central point. She's the one either gonna make or break what happens,
Right.
In that regard. But she's not perfect, she kind of still has feelings for her BFF's guy, and he still seemingly has feelings for her. I don't even know what that was.
I couldn't really tell.
Talk about him because I have so many question marks in my notes.
I was
about him.
wondering if he
He
might
was
be
gay.
closeted. Yeah,
But I don't know if he is.
No, because I feel like he was still feeling Mia, because there were certain things he was doing,
Yeah.
like when he stayed over her place, that you could tell there was a weird thing
I-
going on.
But
agree.
I could see that as just being like a friendship, like a close friendship, because there's when he does it and the spirits inside of him. Granted, these spirits are not reliable narrators, and we will see they will lie to
Yeah.
these people, but they do like turn towards Jade, who is Mia's best friend, and Daniel is the boyfriend's name. While they're in Daniel, they turn towards Jade, and they're like,
He makes your dick sore.
like you
Like,
make
you don't do it for him.
yeah, you don't.
you make his dick sore.
And she says that they haven't kissed. It's been like 3
Yeah.
months. So I don't know. He might be like
But he's really
asexual
Christian.
or.
But then
That's also true.
But then when he's possessed, he looks over at Mia, and that's when he starts humping.
He starts.
Oh yeah, he's
That's
super
why she-
horny when he's
that's why-
possessed. That's true. Yeah.
She started. That's why she sort of laughed and looked down, and then she looked at her friend, because it was like, because she knew it was like, oh, he's still attracted.
All those
to
little
me.
looks from
Yeah.
Sophie Wilde are so
I think
good.
he just thinks that Jade's boring.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he.
So does Haley.
Because he. Well, because he I think Jade mentions that he's Christian and it sounds like he's pretty straight laced. And I think he maybe likes the idea of someone like Mia because she's the one doing stuff that maybe by association with her, it makes him feel cool and it feels a little dangerous. And I think that maybe is what he's into.
Yeah.
Well, after that first night when Mia does the hand and they go to Haley in the parking lot at school the next day, they say it's because Daniel wants to do it. So
Right.
he wants to do it. So maybe you're right. Maybe he's not, or maybe he doesn't want to be as straight-laced as Jade is accepting him as.
I could also, and we don't get any of like Daniel's family. He even says he's 18, so the cops don't call his parents after
it's
some shit
completely
goes
written
down.
off.
So he's an adult, but I wonder if part of it is like Jade is someone who his family could see as more of an acceptable girlfriend, and maybe because even, my parents approve of this girlfriend, this is instantly not as exciting anymore.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Because Mia's the more wild child because she tried weed
She
once.
tried weed once.
As Miranda Otto gets mad
Miranda
about.
Otto's in this, Gressel. Eowyn is in this.
Yeah, fucking
And she's
Eowyn
so fucking
as
funny.
just a flustered mom.
As like a
She was
mom
great,
trying
yeah.
her best.
yeah.
And like
Single
a really
mom.
cool mom. Like
Yeah.
I think she is like a pretty top tier horror movie mom
Yeah.
in this.
She reminded me of a more I don't know how to say it, more grounded and I'll just say better acted because it's Miranda Otto, so no shame in that. Of the mom from Terrifier 2.
Sure.
Who is also
Okay.
very frustrated and vulgar, but like shows moments of warmth and like genuine.
And wants to be friends with her.
Wants to be friends with her kids. So this Sue kind of feels like that, only in
Yeah.
a less exploitation horror movie way.
Yeah. God, can I just say, in high school, I was such a Jade.
Yeah, you were Jade. Did you have a Sue? Or I'm sorry,
Yes.
did you have a Mia?
I had a Mia. Yeah.
Was it Carrie?
I feel like it was Carrie and Katie. It was like my two
Combined,
best
yeah.
friends who, like, as we got older, were the ones who wanted to party and do stuff that would get us in trouble. I just was so straight-laced.
Yeah.
I was an easy kid to raise. My parents always say that they think it's so funny how I just didn't get into any trouble. It makes me look back and think, like, fuck, should I have at least tried to get in trouble once? Because it sounds like my parents were a little surprised.
Yeah, I feel like my parents were the same too. Like out of me and my brother, it was just one of those things where he set the carpet on fire. He was the one who ditched school, and then I was the salutatorian. Like,
Yeah,
it was
I was
just like,
salutatorian too. Fuck yeah.
Oh, man.
It's
I
a real
wasn't.
thing. It does exist.
second is
Did-
not last.
That's right. Did you get to give a speech at graduation? Me too. Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, but I think my parents were also so trusting because when you talked about the mother in the beginning and the party, that's how mines were as well. It was like, well, you can have your boyfriend over and he can stay over, but just leave the door open and you can like we'll just be in the house. Like that was that sort of
Or when
thing.
she's like, "Are you sneaking out later?"
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
no.
like, yeah, no,
It's like, okay,
sure.
just lock the door.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I
that's
know
kinda
that's what
was.
you're
Yeah.
doing.
I love the little beat after that where Mia's waiting for her in the hallway. He's like, "Are we sneaking out now?" It's like, yeah.
Hey, want to talk to you about our sponsor this week, Fume. Fume is a nifty little diffusive device that you can breathe all kinds of delicious scents and flavors through. We've been sponsored by Fume since their devices were made entirely of wood, but now they've really upgraded and they have these cool metal mouthpieces that feel really pleasant to use. I personally don't have any bad habits that something like Fume may help me to break, but I find the overall experience to be genuinely pleasant anyways. For example, I love peppermint for opening up my sinuses and soothing my throat because my allergies are terrible. With Fume's crisp mint flavor, I can instantly get some relief on those stuffy days. And it feels great on my throat before I record voiceover stuff like this ad. If you've got a hand-to-mouth habit that you're itching to break, Fume has served over 100,000 customers and has thousands of success stories. And there's no reason that can't be you. Head to tryfume.com and use code DEADMEAT to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. That's tryfum.com and use code DEADMEAT to save an additional 10% off your order today.
Yeah, Mia and Jade are so close that the first time we watched this, like the first time through for a while, I thought that they were sisters. I thought that like Mia was legitimately part of the family, whether adopted or otherwise, but just I thought maybe like different dads or something, but that maybe it was the accents that got me lost, but it's because she picks up Jade's younger brother,
Yeah.
Riley.
Yes.
And
they
she
sing Chandelier in the car.
Yes.
Well, I think one could argue that maybe there was a thing, like, and Jade kind of, in her anger, says it later, like, I wish you had never, like, you know, pushed your way into my family.
Yeah.
Which
That's how
was
close they
really
are,
just harsh. And in that moment, I was like, hate Jade. Like hate the mom, too. Like, can't you guys get it? Like, but I think with Mia picking up Riley, there was a thing of, and Riley having issues with Jade, I feel like maybe in that time, like, Mia, and he even, after things go down with the hand the first time, Riley, you know, Jade pushes him away. He wants to go in the bed with her, like, can I sleep with you? And Jade's just like, no, you know, kind of. And he ends up with, you know, Mia. And I feel like she had become more of his sister at that time.
Seems like it, yeah. Because it's so, I don't know what their age gap is. I think he's 13 and she's like 17, I think, are about the ages.
Yeah, they're like 17.
So yeah, with that gap, that's a little bit older than me and my sister, but that's you and your sister. And I feel like with that kind of gap, it is easy to, in those years especially, have a very contentious relationship with your sibling.
My brother and I were always at each other's throat when we were younger.
Yeah, she picks him up and yeah, they're belting chandelier and there's a kangaroo in the road.
I hated that.
I know.
It's like that whole scene, I was just, I hate this. And that's why I was bad. I was like, is this going to be, what's going to happen to the dog later? I was just
I
worried.
was so Cookie.
I was worried. I was like, I
Cookie's
can't.
okay. Don't worry, everyone. The kangaroo in the road is essentially like a deer in the road for us Yanks.
Yeah, I know. It's weird because it's the second horror movie I've seen recently where that happens. It's the movie Sissy, right? There's also a kangaroo
Which
in
is
the
also
road.
an Australian film.
Yeah. Is it that common over there?
I think so.
Yeah.
I was just reading a little bit of Reddit comments before we started recording, and someone in Australia did say, like, yeah, even in the suburbs, you can come across a lot of kangaroos, and that they're heavy, so you don't want them to go through the windshield.
Oh,
but
is it worse than hitting a deer?
Probably. But they're probably, depending on the size of the deer.
Have you hit a deer before? I've hit a deer.
I've not hit a deer.
Yeah, Michigan. I feel like you go certain places in Michigan and like it's almost a rite of passage. Gressel, have you hit a deer?
I have not hit a deer.
Yeah.
I have nearly hit deer.
The deer hit me, let's be real.
Wow.
It does. They will run. They will try to make a break for it, and you just don't have any time to react, and they just run right into your car. That's what happened, is it like hit my car and kind of like hit the front corner by the driver's side and like bounced off the side, and then we couldn't find it, so we think it ran away, but my car was fucked up.
Well, this Roo is not bouncing away. It is very injured, and Riley says that they're supposed to.
I hate looking at it and listening to it.
Yeah.
And it was like, and then Riley's like, it's crying. I was like,
I
oh,
know.
stop.
Mia,
I
it's
cannot.
crying.
Yeah, so he says that they should put it out of its misery, and she goes to run over its head and then stops, and she can't do it.
She can't commit like they do in Sissy, where they do run over.
Yeah, spoiler in
it's
Sissy.
It's a similar scene, but they are
like,
it's the
same
same
scene, except they do it. Yeah. Have you seen Sissy?
No.
I recommend
very
it.
good.
It's
Well, that's.
it's an influencer horror, which is its own subgenre now, and it's one of my favorites of that. Actually, that subgenre has a lot of really
It
good
does.
movies.
I really enjoy like influencer horror movies.
Yeah, where like Spree,
Deadstream.
Yeah, there's a movie called Influencer, which is great. And
I saw Influencer.
did you like that one?
was a good one.
That soundtrack
That was-
fucking
yeah, it
rules,
really
dude.
was.
I put that shit on at parties. People are like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's from the Shudder movie."
It's really
Watch
good.
that.
Yeah, that one's great.
But yeah, Mia can't bring herself to like put it out of its misery, which is fair. I feel like you just call animal control.
Which I don't even think she does. I think she
doesn't.
says
she doesn't.
She
says
just leaves
She
it.
says another car will come.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is her, and obviously this is not a hidden metaphor or anything. This will link back to later on in the film when we are in spoiler territory, when Riley is possessed and the spirits are trying to get her to kill him, saying it'll like be a mercy kill.
Right.
And she even sees the kangaroo in the hospital
Yeah,
hallway
like a
linking to him.
reflection.
Yeah, it's a nice little like, here's a little thematic sprinkling for you
Yeah.
before we get back to the rest of the movie. Oh, also, when they're hanging out in the bed, she has her fucking shoes on. And
I wrote that down
Yeah,
too.
I did notice that. I'm like, you don't do that.
Mia's got her shoes on.
what is the matter with you people?
Yeah.
There's just like little tidbits where you're kind of debating, like, do I like her?
Yeah, when she's in her
Do
best
I
friend's
like
bed
this
with shoes
character?
on. Yeah.
Chauncey, I literally wrote just like character detail that like makes me question whether or not this is a person I like.
Yeah, it's like, who are we rooting for in this film?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Man, I did for the scream kill count, my to the numbers bit, I crawled across a ladder. It went great, by the way. Thanks, Gressel, for your help. But I didn't have shoes or socks on. I was just in my bare feet because I'm fucking in my upstairs bedroom of my house. And so many comments were like, why don't you have shoes on? I'm like,
because I'm at home.
I'm in my fucking house, dude. There's carpet. What do you walk around your house with your shoes on? You fucking, I don't know.
Animals.
Nasty animal. You're an animal.
Uncouth swine.
That's right. Oh, also before we move on, I would like to note that what's up, Australia, with your doorknobs, yo? You got these tiny little doorknobs that are like way too high on your door.
yes.
Because I
noticed
first
it.
noticed it in Better Watch Out,
Yes, that's
which is
right.
another Australian movie and is great. And then I noticed it again here. They're like these tiny doorknobs that are like way too high, or I guess higher than ours. I guess if they work for you. But what's going on? How'd that happen, Australia?
Yeah.
What's the deal with yeah?
I'm trying to figure like how would that work.
Yeah, it was like, why do you?
I've actually been to Australia before. I didn't
Really?
notice that.
I
Oh,
want to go to Australia.
yeah. What part of Australia did you go to?
It was near Sydney.
Okay.
Like, yeah, and I went to a the Aboriginal, the Maori, like their one of their areas where we were going to like a rally they were having because
Oh,
they speak
wow.
about like equality and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Over there, it was like years ago because I did Australia and then we went to New Zealand to speak to their Aboriginal
Wow,
population there as well. So
nice.
That's super
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
What?
But I never noticed the doorknobs. Like I did not notice.
Well,
the
you're gonna have to go back and check now.
I do.
So they go to a party at, is it Joss or Haley's?
I forget whose house it is.
Yeah.
Are they not related?
I couldn't
Joss and
tell
Haley?
what their vibe was.
I
If
don't-
they were together at like romantically, if
I
they were
think
just friends.
They're just friends.
Yeah, they're obviously close. They seem really close to each other, but
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think they were romantic because I kind of felt like Haley at times was flirting with Jade. I felt like there was some weirdness.
oh, you
there.
think so? Okay.
Yeah, I thought there was a vibe there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Haley the character is non-binary or what, but the actor is Zoe
okay.
Tarakis. Is a non-binary Australian actor who has been in a few things, but I really like them. Like,
Yeah,
they're-
me
Yeah, they
too.
did a great
they're
job.
so, and apparently this is so fucking fucked up. Apparently, Talk to Me was banned in Kuwait just because this actor was in the movie
Wow.
to protect public ethics and social traditions. So,
All right.
real cool. Real cool. So stupid.
It's dumb.
Well, they're missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
When they get to this party, there's a very deliberate shot of, I think it's, stop licking yourself. It's of Daniel and
I'm
Jade
sorry.
holding hands. It's another just like instance of like this focus on hands. Because later there's a moment where it's Mia and Daniel holding hands. They have a conversation about it. That's
The
like a
hand
moment
size
they
thing.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of hand stuff. Yeah.
Hands, a lot of hand
A
stuff.
lot of hand stuff. You know, they are high schoolers.
Yeah,
Hand stuff
yeah.
just-
That's
They did
prime
it.
Got to see
time.
this movie in the theater.
Yeah.
No, I felt like it was also really interesting that they were able to intermix like that interpersonal stuff too, like the little drama where, because I remember that one with Daniel and Jade because that's Mia noticing it, and that's
Yes.
right before she decides to say, "I'm going to hold the hand of this dead psychic" or whatever. So it
Yeah.
was kind of like almost like she was feeling like she wanted to loosen up and also distract herself
Yeah.
from noticing that the guy she still had feelings for was now with her BFF.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Which is like it's such a high school situation. I witnessed it multiple times. I was part of it sometimes in high school where it's like you have a kind of thing with someone and then your friend ends up with that person but you still like them and the friend is like, "Oh, it's fine. It's cute." But like because Haley's even calling it out. Like Haley's like, "I think your friend is flirting with your
Yeah.
boyfriend."
Yeah, and Jade's just like, they're
No,
just
no,
friends.
they're just friends. It's like, yeah, but clearly she has a thing for him still.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, they bring out this hand, and it's like a plaster hand that's kind of from it's like starts at like the elbow, and it like sits up on the table.
There's graffiti all over it.
It's
like,
almost
written
like,
things.
you know those like weird little arms at like an arcade where it's an arm wrestling machine
Okay.
kind of thing.
Well, I thought of the little guy that we have to hold the wand.
Oh yeah, where it's like an art. That's like for art classes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where it's wood and it has the movable
Like a hand
joints.
model, yeah. So it's this, the sound design on this hand fucking rules. It's so like gravelly, and when it moves, it has such weight to
Yeah,
it.
it sounds like it's really heavy.
It sounds heavy and important, which it
Yeah.
should. It's the centerpiece of the movie.
Yeah.
And now A24 is apparently going to be selling
Of course
those.
they are. I want to get like
Of course
it. I
not.
think it'd be
Yeah.
fun for high school graduates to get like blank versions. You know how people
Oh,
have
and
those
then
like
have
little
people sign it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
have people sign it.
Yeah.
That's
New
fun.
yearbook, yeah.
But yeah, it's debated. They're not 100% sure what the hand is. The only thing they can all agree on is there is like a mummified hand in there that is beneath all the plaster, and either it's from a dead medium
Or a Satanist.
we don't know. Also, the hand they have is the left hand. No one knows where the right hand is.
Yeah.
It's just out there somewhere.
I wouldn't be surprised if that comes up in the sequel.
It probably will.
That's one of the things where it's like, oh, there's a lot to the story that could be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
there's so
sure.
much to explore. Like, and I felt like that was interesting because I'm not always the biggest fan of things being left as vague like that. I'm like, I want to know the origin of this so I know the rules.
Yeah.
Like, so I can tell if you do it right. Like, you know, like if a movie loses its way and if they're like, I thought that wasn't possible, but if they leave it vague, it's like, well, we don't know what's possible. So at first when they said no one knows, I'm like, oh, we see where this is going.
Right,
Like anything's gonna happen. It's gonna be a portal in a second. Like, you know. But yeah, I kind of like that they kept it vague so that they could leave it open to like maybe a universe of hands and feet or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're just body
to,
parts.
To talk to a spirit, you gotta suck on them toes, dude.
Suck on it.
Like we saw people sucking on toes.
Right?
Exactly.
It would fit.
So the way this thing works is you hold the hand, like you're arm wrestling with it, kind of, and someone else lights a candle. You are also buckled to a chair. They kind of strap you to a chair so you can't like move. And you hold this hand, and after the candle is lit, you say, "Talk to me."
And then a spirit
And then a
will appear.
spirit appears to
but you
you.
can't let go of the hand
To
like
only
Mia
you
does at
if you're
first.
holding.
That's right.
No
This-
one else can see the spirit.
You're the
except
only
you.
one who can see it. It's usually horrific looking,
It's
disfigured.
It's really creepy. The first time that you see one, it's the first time Mia does it, and it is genuinely.
It's jarring,
It
yeah.
made me jump. It really freaked me out. It's
But
this-
then you have to say, I let you in,
Yeah.
and the spirit will possess you. But
Yeah.
then they start a timer for 90 seconds because apparently if you go over 90 seconds, the
They wanna
spirit
stay.
will want to stay in you.
and if you die while they're inside you, they keep you forever. That's what they say.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's what happens. You get possessed by a spirit for 90 seconds, and then they pull the hand off and blow out the candle to close the door. And as weird as it may seem, apparently it feels great. Later, Mia
Yeah,
says
apparently it's super fun.
she says that she felt like she was glowing and she could see and hear and feel everything, but as though she were in the passenger seat. Which, you know, that's the thing with drugs is it lets you kind of disconnect and kind of like remove yourself from the reality of the world. And when you're a teenager, it feels like the world fucking sucks because you got all those hormones going on. So to be in the passenger seat instead of having to experience
just-
everything, especially as Mia, who's still grieving her
Yeah.
lost mother,
Right.
probably feels nice to just kind of like let go and let someone else do all the work for a little bit.
Right. Yeah, giving control to a substance, or in this case, some kind of spirit who's using your body almost like a puppet.
Yeah,
and
like
talking.
making you
and
dance
some
and
spirits are real fucking nasty. Like they're
Yeah.
little. Some of these spirits are little perverts. I feel like the little pervert ones just hang out waiting for their turn.
Yeah, like, can we go next?
Right? You know, all the normal spirits are like, whatever. They don't want to fuck around with these kids at parties, but these weird ones are just like, my turn.
The one in Mia though turns to the younger brother
Riley,
and says like they want you. She sound like fucking Gollum when they say it.
They've already got their eyes on
Yeah, like
Riley.
they like you, and
Yeah.
like clearly
And also,
they do.
the second time around, I still didn't understand what this spirit means when she points at like nothing. There's like a corner where there's no one, and the spirit's like, there he is. And
Yeah.
I still am not sure what
Yeah, I don't know.
is meant by that.
Spirits fucking around. I don't know.
Anyone else had, because the kids all turn around to look and there's nothing. It freaked me out, but I don't really know what was going on there.
And they do say that they go a bit over 90 seconds with Mia
They
here.
accidentally,
They do.
yeah, because they try and rip the hand away, and Mia like won't let go of it. The spirit is.
So is that why she continues to see
yes,
spirits?
it has
I feel
to
like
be.
that was the thing. I feel like it was almost kind of like the thing with Riley almost makes you, it distracts you from the fact that she did go over a few seconds, because the whole movie, you're kind of, most of that point, you're kind of very focused on Riley, like, oh, they're possessing him, but it's very clear once we see as it goes, it's like, no, they were still inside of her because she's the one having the hallucinations. I mean, they were still in Riley too,
Yeah.
which is why he was trying to kill himself, but they were still very much in her as well. Did they explain why? Because I think she asked why 90 seconds, right? Did they actually
They just say after that the spirits want to be there permanently.
Yeah,
I don't know how they
there
know
must
that
have
or
been
what,
some
but
like other people who trial and error figured that out somehow.
Thank
but yeah, because later
they-
she asks the others like, "Are you guys still seeing stuff?" And they're all like, "No, what the fuck are you talking
because
about?"
Mia got left in there too long. She let it like cook for too long, so they're still hanging out in there. But pointedly, they did blow out the candle for Mia.
They closed the door.
which they do not do later for Riley. If you
Yes.
look for it in the background.
Yeah, because the second time we saw it, because later on they're like, wait, did we even blow out the candle? So the second time we saw it, I was paying
Yeah.
attention to that.
they
And it's
don't.
very blurry in the background, but you see it's still going.
Oh, okay.
And so they don't blow it out that time. But yeah, they sleep over at Jade and Riley's place, and there's a great shot of Mia looking out a window while it's raining.
Yeah.
And they hold on that shot for so long, and I'm like, thank you. This looks great.
They knew it looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not only how it looks, but just her acting, just her face acting.
Yeah.
She has so much expression in every shot.
But yeah, Riley can't sleep, so he goes and sleeps out on the couch with Mia, and Mia asks if he was scared, and they kind of talk about recurring nightmares they've had.
Yeah.
Mia says she's had one where she doesn't have a reflection.
And that comes in at the end, the very end,
Yes.
when she's in the hospital.
She talks a little bit about her mom, and we get some more kind of backstory there. We get that her mom apparently took too many sleeping pills on accident, and I think her dad found her, had to like
Bust open the
bust
door.
open the bathroom door, I think.
Which feels a little similar to Duckett's situation, having to break
Yeah.
down the door for him.
Another shot we cut to later. Riley's fallen asleep, holding his phone in his hands. Another close up of a hand where he's holding it,
Oh,
and then
yeah.
you also see,
Isn't he watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
yeah, like Australian Who Wants to Be a
Yeah.
Millionaire, where Mia takes the phone out of his hand and turns it off, and she kind of falls asleep next to him. But then we see there's a creepy hand that touches him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that shot.
I didn't, I couldn't tell. That was a different hand.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It looked very waterlogged and creepy. And,
I guess, yeah, those spirits just want Riley. I don't know
they
why.
really do.
Which was interesting to me. Like, why focus in on Riley of everyone? Maybe he was the most innocent.
Yeah, they do make a point of establishing his innocence because he's got that shitty little friend James,
Yeah.
who his friend's like, oh, you want to smoke? I'm selling them, and now I'm smoking them, and Riley's like, no, and James like, I need a new friend, and it's
Yeah.
like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I wonder if they just can sense that Riley just wants approval. Because, like, I don't know, I think he wants Mia to think he's cool. I think he wants his friend to think he's cool. I think he wants both his mom and his sister to maybe appreciate or like him more.
Yeah, the
'Cause
first time we meet the mom, she
Yeah.
comes in and she's like,
Riley, get your shit off the table.
she's like, get your shit off the table, and why didn't you help me carry this stuff
Yeah.
in? It's
Yeah.
like, God, Mom, I was just sitting here.
Yeah. I think he just maybe is particularly vulnerable. There's also in this next scene, I think it's Jade and Mia hanging out. There's this like above Jade's bed. There's like, well, you know, one of those like cutouts you do where you trace your hand.
Yeah,
there's
make a
one of those
turkey.
above her bed. It's it's not a turkey, but it's like it looks like maybe a piece of paper was folded in half, and she traced her hand
Oh,
on
I
one
didn't
and
notice that.
unfolded it, and it's kind of like it almost looks like two hands kind of next to each other, and that's like above her bed. I noticed that this time. Yeah, again, lots of hand
Hands.
stuff. Lots of hand stuff. Also, it's very vague where the hand itself even came from. Watching it this time around, Joss is very cagey about it and just dodges the question. I think that's a friend of a friend. Don't worry about it.
Well, he got it from Duckett's brother.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but when they ask originally, he's just like,
Yeah.
I won't bring up that they got it from this kid whose brother stabbed
Exactly.
himself in the face.
That comes out
Yeah.
later, and it's like, really?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is when they ask to do it again the next day, so they go over to Jade's house. I love the mom interrogating them of like, oh, what time's the party? What party are you talking about?
Yeah. No, it's
I
cool.
know,
I
it's
know.
cool.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Everybody,
funny.
it's
She's
cool.
like, oh, they already told me. Just let me know what time.
You're not in
Like,
trouble. I know you're having a party. Just what time is it? Yeah, she's so funny in this.
Yeah. I love Miranda Otto. Yeah, this, I wrote down, when they're like tying you in and everyone's around you and no one does the hand by themselves because like
You wouldn't be able to.
You wouldn't be
Yeah.
able to, which means you need a sitter, which is also true of drugs.
A lot,
If you're
yes.
trying them for the first time, it is very wise to have a sitter, or most times, especially with hallucinogens like this, it's
Yeah.
like have someone who's there and grounded and making sure that you're not killing yourself or doing stupid shit
or
while on
wandering
them.
out or something.
Yeah.
Trying to drive or something like that.
Or
So-
like, I feel amazing. I'm gonna text my ex-boyfriend.
then your friend's like, nope, let's hold off on that.
Just things like that.
When Daniel does the hand,
This is when Daniel finally
gets hornified.
does it, and he gets possessed by a really horny ghost.
I think they start beating off.
That's what it seemed
Daniel
like.
starts
Yeah.
touching himself, then he falls over, starts humping the ground. Then Cookie the dog comes over and starts licking Daniel's face, and Daniel
Daniel
starts
makes out
making
with
out
this
with that
fucking
dog.
dog.
It is so gross.
What is this?
Especially,
Is this a French bulldog?
It's a bulldog.
It's a
yeah.
big snout, or it's a
Yeah.
big like snorty boy.
Yeah.
Adorable.
It's a
but
really
the
cute
sound, and
dog.
it's just like, oh.
But they keep saying he smells, and I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
dog.
Fucking Cookie playing himself. Cookie.
Yes, Cookie credited as himself in the credits, which is great. Yeah, he makes out with this dog.
I did read, and I didn't have time to do research. I did read a comment saying that the director said that it is a dog puppet with CGI enhancements for the
Shut
making
up,
out.
really?
For the
That's
making
good.
out. I would hope so, because he's fucking.
Yeah.
He is Frenching that dog.
Yeah,
hard.
I don't feel like the dog would just sit there for it necessarily.
Yeah.
Like the real making out, not just like the lick of
Yeah,
face.
the walk up and lick is probably a
Yeah.
real dog, but like, no, he's in that
Oh my
fucking
god,
dog
I
mouth
didn't
with his
realize
tongue.
it was like a puppet.
That's
Yeah,
probably
it looks
better.
great.
That's
but
better.
I hope so.
That's
Otherwise,
less
that poor
ethnic.
actor
That's-
and dog.
Yeah,
like,
poor both of them.
Yeah.
It's no good. It's so gross
it's
because
gross
Daniel
to
gets
watch.
covered in dog hair. Like
Oh
his
yeah,
mouth is all
there's like
wet.
fur on his lips and
There's
shit.
fur. Oh, it's so gross.
And then when they break it, he gets up and he's like, he realizes people
Delete
are
that
recording
shit.
him.
And it's like,
Delete it.
delete it.
Yeah.
Mhm. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
why would we do
Absolutely
that?
fucking no. We're
And
not
he like
deleting it.
storms out upset. But then this is when it's the montage that's like the most fun part of the
It's
movie.
so the editing in this is so fucking
Well,
good.
Joss is like, he's like fucking
Oh my
shimmying
God.
around and clapping
Just
and beat
all
with the
these
song.
these little beats where either someone claps or sets something down or lights a match, and it's so good.
And I don't know if
It's
that's
so
actually
kinetic.
Sophie Wilde doing the French singing, because obviously a thing with possessions is like to show that they're legit is if you start speaking in a language you
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
there's like
Yeah.
a French.
So she starts singing
Spirit.
in French to the song on the soundtrack. It's like kind of high pitched and weird and unsettling, but it's also kind of cool. And then, yeah, I know this fucking dog.
I know Molly's very interested in Chauncey.
But I love how during the montage, like Daniel had left the room, but like they bring him back and he's like, all right, I mean, like it's just like a fucking party, man.
Yeah, seems fun. Bet they saw all kinds of weird little ghosties.
And if you think about it, it's like they were partying with the ghosts, right? Like just like they were getting off, the ghosts might have been too in their own way.
Yeah.
Like, so that's why it's such a weird thing, because it's like they're very much doing, it's a drug scene. It's like
Yeah.
a drug type,
I mean,
montage.
Haley
but-
uses the hand to light a joint, which is
Yeah,
so
exactly.
funny. Like the hand. Riley wants to do the hand, but Jade won't let him.
Yeah.
But she ends up leaving the room after a little tiff with Mia. And
Yeah,
Mia's
because
like,
Mia's like, "Oh, come on, Jade. Like, what if we put him in for like 50 seconds instead of 9?" She keeps like she's really pressuring her friend. Jade gets pissed and storms out. Mia at first is like, actually, I don't know if it's a good idea, Riley. But then she caves and lets Riley do it. And whatever possesses Riley at first is, or at least it sounds like it's Mia's mom.
yeah.
Because the mood totally changes, and the spirit is saying it's sorry, and it turns to Mia, and it's really like it's Riley's acting in this is really great.
Oh yeah, he's standout.
He's really selling that he is possessed by this like older woman,
Joe
this like
Bird.
motherly figure.
Yeah, Joe Bird is the young actor who just does a lot in this movie.
And so Mia, once it's like 50 seconds is up, all right, this is, and Mia's like, no, let's just let him stay for a little bit longer.
want to talk to
because
my
she
dead
wants
mom.
to be
Yeah.
able, and it's really sad, but also you're screaming at the screen because you're just so aware that this clock is ticking, and I think so he after
They blow past 90 seconds
They-
and then they can't get the hand off of him.
and then because he turns and starts kind of like gargling and choking, and then just slams his head down on the table.
Those slams,
it's
dude.
super graphic. He tries, this is the grossest thing, he tries ripping out
gouging
his
his
own
own eye.
eyeball.
Oh, yeah, he's,
It's-
like,
it
in there.
sucks
It
to watch.
sucks.
It is really graphic eyeball stuff. If you don't like eyeball stuff, this is a tough scene because he really gets in there. There is like this eyeball halfway out of his head before they all kind of grab him.
Then he goes to like a corner and is banging his
he
head
starts
on the corner
banging
of a
his head
table.
on the corner of this table. That's when Jade runs back in, uses again her hand to kind of break she puts it where he's been hitting his head, so he slams
Breaks
his
her
head down
hand,
on
yeah.
her hand and breaks it. They finally get the hand off. Again, they forget to blow out the candle. Cops show up. It's a whole mess.
It's a whole fucking mess.
Yeah.
And even in that part, they weren't. That was the other part where I was just like, why isn't anyone else?
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
anything?
Yeah, it's like, fucking
It
do
takes
something.
Jade to come in there, and she even like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
I know, yeah. It's like, God, fucking do something. Get the hand off that boy.
Yeah.
Obviously, all the adults think that they were doing drugs. And
Yeah.
like Jade's mom is pissed at Mia.
Yeah, Mia, there's again a shot of Mia washing blood off of her hands. Classic.
Yep, yeah, blood on her hands.
right.
Riley is in the hospital completely out.
He looks fucked up.
His- yeah,
like
all these
A24
effects.
style fucked up looking face. Then Mia and Daniel spend the night together because Daniel doesn't want to go back home.
And
to his-
Mia is seeing her dead mom in the reflection of windows
Yeah,
and stuff.
Mia keeps seeing her mom. And so this one, Mia and Daniel kind of have a moment where I think Mia's saying something about how like, oh, remember we like held hands. I could feel your heartbeat through your hands. And like, I have bigger hands than you. It's like this whole conversation about hands.
Because their carving of their names were still in the door.
That's
And
right.
he said, "Oh, I remember this," and that's why I was like, there's something
Yeah.
weird going on here.
Yeah, they go to sleep, head to toe.
Military style.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, military
okay.
style, yeah.
Yeah.
And she's trying to get close to his.
Yeah,
'cause
she's cuddling his shin.
Yeah, she's looking for human connection. That's very
Yeah.
much throughout this whole thing, right? Like even with Jade, because she gets on her for like, you haven't been answering my phone calls, and Jade's like, I've been busy with your ex. Damn.
Yeah. And in the meantime, Mia's ignoring all these calls from her dad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you notice in the very beginning, Mia's dad is out of focus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
and
trying to talk to her.
I love the scene. This is way early on when she has the water running and he says something and she turns it off. She's like, "What?" And he repeats it, and then she puts the water back on and he says something again. She's like, "What?" And just that's so real to me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that happens a lot. It's like, "What?" I obviously can't hear you.
Right,
Just
right.
complete miscommunication between them.
Get this weird sequence where they fall asleep next to each other, and Mia starts to like hear, or no, she has like a dream, or she doesn't think it's a dream, but it's clearly a dream when we're watching it, that like her and Daniel are kissing.
Yeah, because the camera. The
Yeah.
camera here
I
is
thought
so
that was a great,
fucking
like,
cool.
and then
It's
she
really
turns
cool.
out of the bed and
Yeah.
she's standing. I
'Cause
was like, that's
she's
real.
laying in bed. It looks like an overhead shot that swoops down, but then becomes a profile shot, and she's upright, and then she just turns around and walks over to where Daniel is.
Yeah, it's cool.
And just the control of the camera in this, a lot during the possessions, like when someone gets possessed and their head
They
goes
flip
back and
backwards.
the camera
It's-
flips with them.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Great use of the camera.
But then she starts to hear weird noises, and there's this creepy lady that crawls out of the corner. And
was so-
she starts sucking on Daniel's foot, and Mia is screaming at Daniel to wake up, wake up. Daniel finally wakes up, and oops, it's Mia sucking on his foot.
Yeah.
And
He's
he
like,
gets,
what are you doing?
yeah, he gets the fuck out of there.
We don't mind sucking on toes. That's a Tenacious D song.
Man.
And then her dead mom appears and snuggles her.
Yes, after
to sleep.
explaining that she did not kill herself. It was an accident. I would never do that. Basically kind of confirming all these things that like now in retrospect you realize this is stuff Mia wants to believe about
Yeah.
what happened.
Because
obviously.
someone hypothesizes that what the spirits can like see your thoughts and desires
think
when they're
so.
in you, and I
Yeah.
feel like that's
I think
right.
they definitely can.
Yeah, I think Daniel actually mentions that. He
Yeah.
was like, that wasn't your mom. Like, they're just all up in our head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of confirms that what he feels about Jade.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't say like, oh, they're lying.
Yeah.
Also, this this kind of apparition of her mom says that Riley needs help.
Because he's still in the hospital trying to kill himself. He comes
Yeah,
to at
every
one
time
point.
he wakes up, he tries to
He's
kill himself.
banging his
That
head
was
against
a
the
crazy
tile.
scene.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
he's hitting
and
his head on
then
the
he's like licking the
tiles
blood up. It's fucking
It's so
gross.
gross,
He
yeah.
looks disgusting.
Yes.
It's awful.
Yeah,
It's so bad.
The gang meets up with the people that Joss got the hand from, which is the person from the beginning.
Yes.
Cole, who
Yeah.
was stabbed but
Yes,
survived.
and whose brother stabbed himself in the face.
Yeah, and did not survive.
Yeah. He reluctantly kind of talks to them about the hand. He says that like after a while the possessions will fade. If you don't die while they're in you, it kind of slowly fades. They do go away eventually.
I also, again, another shot that I love is on the bus when I think Cole is foreground on the left frame and Mia sits down on the right. And then the background, the other characters are kind of like
Yeah.
dispersed, standing there, further going back. It's one of those buses where there's like two parts, so it kind of like moves. I love it.
Yeah. After they talk to Cole, Mia's like, well, what if we just get Riley to do it again and then we make sure to blow out the candle this time? Because that's when she realizes they're not sure if they blew out the candle. Naturally, they're all like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Like, why would we do that? Yeah.
But I also see her point when she's like, well, we
What
gotta
else
fix it.
can
What
we
else are we
do?
gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta try something.
Yeah. Because she's not convinced that just letting it go away on its own is going to work.
But apparently, I think it does.
No, it does. I think
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah.
Yeah, because later on, Jade tells her,
Like, no, I think Riley's getting
Yeah,
better.
Riley
getting
came
better.
to and was himself.
The reason that Mia thinks that that's not true is because this spirit that she thinks is her mom is like, no, like, Riley needs help. You have to do something about
They've
it.
been manipulating her.
Yeah,
And
they
she-
manipulate the hell out of her.
Yeah.
When Mia goes to the hospital this time, she brings the hand and a candle with her. This scene is so fucking great. They put it in Riley's hand. They light a candle. They tried a couple times and like nothing really
Like,
happened.
talk to him. I'm like, I
Talk
don't
to
know if it
him.
works that way.
Yeah. And so Mia's like, okay, maybe I can try talking to Riley if I use the hand.
Mm-hmm.
So Mia grabs the hand, says, talk to me, and Riley doesn't appear, but it's a little girl.
Yeah.
And Mia obviously looks freaked out, and this little girl is like, Riley's I can show you where Riley is. I can take you to him. And then this little girl says, I let you in.
Yeah.
Yo!
Yeah.
What-
And then what Mia sees is, I mean, people are calling it the shunting because that's what it looks like from Society. Have you seen
Yeah.
that? Yeah. Where it's just like bubblegum
Yeah.
flesh being
Just bodies and
torn
you can't
asunder
tell
and
which way's up. It's just this,
sucking and grabbing and
this
wet.
horrible like orgy almost of these like naked demons all torturing Riley, and it's just such crazy.
It was on the cover
imagery.
of Fangoria. That
Really,
image. Yeah.
it's so good. It's so brief and so freaky. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of wonder if that was true, though.
Yeah, I kind of think it's bullshit.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
really?
so is
Oh,
it
I
kind of
just
like,
kinda-
did the little girl trick her? Like, I don't know, because if he came to and she was like, oh, he's like himself, wouldn't he be like, oh my gosh, let me tell you what
Right,
happened to
right.
me while I was being tortured?
I just took it at face value. I was like, oh,
and it
yeah.
was just like, what? Are they in cahoots? Like, did they send the little girl because she'd be more willing to believe the little girl?
Yeah.
it's always the little girls in the
right.
horror.
It's
Yeah.
very disarming.
Yeah. It's so great. It's such a great scare. I love it. Like, that's one of my favorite scenes from a horror movie this year. It's just so unexpected, but I don't know why I didn't expect it. Of course, like, I just like that the spirits have had control this whole time.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And if you weren't sure if the mom spirit was manipulating Mia or not, you kind of get confirmation of it when she goes home and her dad is like, I gotta tell you something. Here's your mom's suicide
This scene
note.
is really beautiful. I think it was genuinely like hard to watch because it just felt so real.
All the scenes at Mia's home with her dad are so coolly lit. They're
Yeah,
very blue.
very
It's
blue.
very cold.
Yeah.
And just you get the
Even the
this-
style of their house feels very sterile. Like their kitchen is very compared to Jade's house.
Yes, which
Mia's
feels more
house
lived
is
in
very
and
like
loving.
metal, steel, like marble countertop, lots of glass.
Yeah, it just makes you feel cold and disconnected,
Yeah.
like that relationship.
Yeah.
It's frosty.
But the dad's like, all right, I do have to tell you, your mom like left a note. We learned that like her mom did kill herself.
Yeah,
it
it
was
wasn't an accident.
intentional, but she left a note, saying that she finally has hope that like Mia is going to have a great future, and it's really sad. The acting in the scene is really, really great. This is a part where I'm like, ugh, I don't know. This movie does have like a lot of emotional heart to it, which I really appreciate. It's not just, I think possession movies are hard because you can only do the kind of like parade of weird stuff for so long. You need something that grounds it to make you really care. And that's what makes it so scary, I think.
And you almost think there's a breakthrough between her and her father at that moment, that hug, and you're like, okay, maybe she's kind of not letting it go, but like getting over that stage of grief of denial. As grief is never linear, but it's like maybe she can reach that point of acceptance a little bit better. But then the mother appears, or the fake mother appears, and it's like just throws her off. And in that moment, she pulls away from her father.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh no, so close. Go back to the dad.
And fake mom is like, your dad's lying.
Your dad's a liar.
That's not your dad.
And that's not your dad pounding on the door. So I'm assuming the spirits are making her hallucinate this door pounding, because then you see the dad is still sitting there like reading a note. So it's not him pounding and calling through the door, but it is a figure that looks like him who busts through and starts fighting her. And so she's like looking for something to defend herself with, and she sees scissors. That's when her actual dad comes in to see what's going on, sees her just writhing on the ground, goes to help her, and gets fucking stabbed in the neck.
This poor dad.
This poor
Honestly,
dad.
when you think about which characters got it the worst, this movie, it's him. This
him.
poor dad.
His wife
He was
died.
alive and then,
From his POV, it's just like he doesn't know about all the demons and shit. It's just like the worst shit you could go through as like a parent. It's like
He
It's awful.
if I were to do a kill count on this though, I don't think I could count him.
you can't because he's in the end.
Jade I guess, yeah, I mean, that's all kind of, but Jade does find him still alive
Yeah. Yes.
in the room.
Yeah,
And then, Mia sees him in whatever that is, those visions.
Yeah.
So Mia lures Jade out of the hospital.
Yes, because other mother, I guess, if
Hey,
we're
fucking
gonna be
Coraline.
Coraline about it, says that Riley needs to be put out of his misery.
It's the humane thing to do,
It's
like
the
that
right,
kangaroo.
like the kangaroo, it's the right thing to do. And if you do that, then definitely your mother will be able to take care of him. So go do
And
that.
of course, none of that makes sense for those of us who are white. Like, that makes no sense. Does that make sense? Does that sound like you're saving him, Mia?
Yeah.
If you kill him?
Right.
Like, your mom doesn't look that good right now either. I mean, her skin's peeling and stuff. Is she gonna really be okay? Like, no.
She just all these demons end up just looking so like they're around their
Waterlogged
eyes
and
and
wet.
mouths
Yeah.
just look really like dark and moist. It's such a gross look, and I love it.
Also, I know that we're going long, but I just want to throw this out there for any commenters to maybe elucidate for me. It's around here after the dad gets stabbed. There's a shot of a tree in the wind, just kind of blowing. And it stood out to me the first time I watched it, and it stood out to me the second time I watched it. And I get it could just be a transition shot between scenes, but I'm like, what is that shot? Why did they film that and put that in there? Because it's like an looking up view of tree branches like blowing in the wind. And it's like it's a good looking shot, but why is that there? Anyone have any ideas?
Well, I think also you have it so that, like, right after that, we see the conversation between Mia and Jade, and Mia actually seems really calm. And I don't know, I feel like maybe it was kind of like that was the official break. Like her stabbing her dad was like the official break for her almost. Because you get that scene when she gets to the hospital. And I love that. I felt like the mom kind of redeemed herself a little bit.
Yeah.
Not, you know, where she was just like, I'm sorry about that earlier. It wasn't drugs. You are not just a friend, you're family. And I was like, thank you for that.
I'm glad
because
they
I
had
didn't
that.
like you for a second.
Yeah.
Because like y'all had really ostracized her after that moment. you know?
And again, that's there's like that scene with Miranda Otto and Mia, and then there's also a brief scene with I keep calling her Miranda Otto and Jade in the car where she's smoking a cigarette.
yeah.
And again, this is more like just very like hand specific stuff where it's like she's got this cigarette and her hands are shaking.
And then Jade goes
Jade
to like
tries
hold
to
her hand,
hold her hand and she
pulls
pulls
away,
it away.
and then she realizes what she just did and like cries over it.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking good.
Yeah.
So Mia, after having drawn Jade away from the hospital by saying, come over and get me, she runs into Sue at the hospital. Great scene between them. But then she just asks, can I have a moment with Riley? Yeah. And Sue's like, oh, well, we're good again. So yes, you can.
Yeah.
And then
Nothing weird.
Jade calls her mom and is like,
She's dangerous.
Yeah.
she's
Get Mia out of there. She's dangerous.
that girl is so dangerous.
And then, oops, Riley and Mia are both gone. And Mia has started wheeling Riley towards the freeway, although she is seeing Riley as this creepy old man at this point.
I saw someone on Reddit call him Granny Cougar or Granny Kruger.
Granny Kruger.
Like, yeah, it looks real gross
yeah.
skin. But yeah, it's because Mia, as we saw with the kangaroo, couldn't bring herself to drive over the head. She goes to stab Riley in bed with the scissors, but she can't bring herself to do it. And she looks out the window and sees the highway and is like, that'd be easier to just kind of toss him in through the highway.
Yeah.
That's the easier thing.
Yeah, and fucking pushing that wheelchair up a hill.
Right, yeah. Whatever. It's the logic of like, a car will do this. Another car will come.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, Jade gets back to the hospital just in time to see Mia wheeling the brother up there.
And Mia, for like, it appears that Mia's mom is like behind Mia and kind of like stroking her, and her nails are so gross.
Yeah.
And she almost has like, it's like her nails, but also she has these little sharp like claws that are coming out from underneath the nails.
Ooh.
It's so creepy. She's definitely some other creature.
Yeah.
It's just this little hint that this is definitely not who she thinks it
Yeah.
is. And she keeps kind of comforting Mia and saying, you know, like, oh, once you do this, we'll have him forever. And I think her saying that kind of makes Mia realize, oh, wait, no, I've just been lied to this whole time. And so Mia throws herself in front of.
You think she throws herself? I wasn't sure if Jade had reached them and had pushed Mia out of the way, but because it switches to the driver's perspective in a car, and then something hits their windshield. It ends up being Mia. But yeah, I don't know who decided for Mia to not.
Oh,
push.
I didn't realize. Yeah, I mean, I read it as Mia doing it herself.
Yeah. Well, there is one shot where you see hands again, where they specifically show her let go of things. So she made the choice not to push him.
Yeah.
So you see that part. And I feel like there was a second enough where maybe she at least, I don't know. I don't feel like Jade pushed her.
No.
I don't know.
You don't
I feel
think Jade got there and was like, get away from my brother to save
No,
her
because
brother?
that doesn't make sense with her like letting go of the.
Well, it could have been a tragic thing where Mia was like, no, I'm not going to do this.
Oh,
Jade
and
doesn't
then-
know that, gets there and is like trying to save her brother. But I guess it's open up to interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in any case, Mia winds up getting hit by this car. Love the shot from the driver's perspective in the car.
Yeah.
Then them getting out and finding Mia. But then Mia gets up and starts walking around, but no one's really paying attention to her.
Yeah, that's when you know.
Yeah, that's when you know.
It's like Triangle.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And like then it flashes from her. She's in the hospital now instead of on the street.
Yeah, and she walks by. There's like an old man in a hospital bed that she was looking at earlier who was laying there, and it seemed like he wasn't doing so great. And then in this end sequence, he's just kind of sitting up and staring at the wall. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of that guy. 'Cause,
Yeah,
he is a recurring
She also
thing.
sees Riley. Seems like he's back to normal.
Yeah, and
and
he's talking to Jade and
And Sue, yeah.
Sue.
And then they're leaving the hospital, and the lights are going out in that classic, like, I know
Yeah.
The Descent does this too,
she
where the
sees
lights are.
her dad walk past, and she's yelling for him. but she can't quite reach him. This is also when she sees that she doesn't have a reflection.
Yeah, she looks in a mirror, no reflection, just like her recurring dream. And then all the lights go out, and all she sees is a candle get lit. Mm-hmm. And then she approaches it and sees a hand, and she reaches out to the hand and clasps it, and then we see apparently
a
in
bunch
Greece,
of dudes in Greece.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the one whose hand she's holding looks and says, talk to me.
Yeah, and then he says, I let you in.
Oh yeah, you're right. I let you in.
I let you in. And
So
that's
she
the
is
end of
now
the movie.
one of the spirits.
I was paying attention this time because I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be the other hand or the same hand. It's the same hand.
Okay.
It's the left hand. She reaches out with her left hand at the end, so we still don't know where this other hand
You
is.
would think they'd destroy it.
Well, when she goes to the hospital, she leaves it behind at her house. There's a shot of it after she stabs her dad, and then when she the hand is left behind. So I don't know how that
Ends
gets
up
to
in
Greece, but she winds up being the spirit on the other side, which is the coolest fucking way to end this movie.
It's so great. Again, I don't know what I expected, but of course that's how it ends.
Yeah. It's so tidy.
It was definitely tragic. I guess I held out hope that maybe she's just in a coma and stuck there. I mean, that would leave like some openness to her somehow. Because her dad's leaving the hospital. Mm-hmm. It's not like she saw him at
like
a funeral.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe she's just in a coma like Riley was. But she was so caught up that now she's just in the spirit realm. That's my canon.
Sure.
Because I'm like, there has to be a glimmer of hope that maybe somebody else might notice her and help her get back. And
Yeah, maybe we learn in a sequel that's what Riley was experiencing the whole time.
Oh,
he was just
he
going
was
to
like,
people's parties.
Yeah, right. But I feel like the most hopeful thing you get out of this is that Riley recovers. I feel like Mia is a tragically doomed character.
That sucks, though.
It does suck.
Like,
Her
I
mom
don't
died.
want her to be like, she lost her mom to suicide. Her father's by himself now. It's like, maybe they can
It's
get
a bummer,
her back.
man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chauncey.
Yeah, it's a good. I like this movie a lot. Mm-hmm. I think I don't know, is proficient a weird word? It's just like really well done.
It's very well done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like damn, everything about this is just done really well.
Yeah.
Horror movies fucking rule, dude.
Yeah.
For sure. I think it just dealt with this idea of grief, and I guess you just saw kind of a story of someone who couldn't totally let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially using the hand to like, she doesn't say I let you in, she just says talk to me so that she can talk to her mom. And
when she's getting snuggled, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which like, if you're in that place, I've had like people where I'm like, yeah, I would experience that if I could, even if I wasn't sure if it was it's like that Black Mirror episode where she gets that kind of double made of her dead husband.
Mm-hmm. Just to have him around in some way.
Yeah.
Grief sucks.
But I thought that sequence was especially touching and like just really real. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah.
There's a chance.
Yeah. There's hope. We'll see what the sequel brings us.
Right? There's like 2-3
Maybe
movies.
we can bring her back.
How can you not bring me back?
I hope so.
Hell of a performance in any case.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Really, really good. Cool. By the way, Chauncey, you did a foreword to this book. I've been wanting to like talk about it.
Yeah, it's Mother Bloor. It's We Are Many. It's an autobiography by Mother Bloor herself. She was in the late 1800s to like the 1950s or so. Like, I think a lot of people know Mother Jones, like as this activist, like mom type. And Mother Bloor was pretty much a bit younger than Mother Jones, but she actually knows Mother Jones too. She mentions Mother Jones.
Okay,
because she starts working with Mother Jones when Mother Jones is a bit older, and it's kind of like this woman, Ella Reeve Bloor, was known as Mother Bloor, and she was a bit more into the labor struggles and kind of dealing with labor exploitation, union fights, and this, of course, like the early 1900s, where workers were kind of getting their footing, trying to get that 8-hour workday, things like that.
Yeah,
like she was
this
on the
is
front
like
lines.
kids shouldn't be allowed to
exactly.
work with
And-
heavy machinery.
Exactly. It's kind of like what James had kind of mentioned, that she's sort of the Forrest Gump of like the labor movement, because there's so many poignant moments that people will be like, I know about that. I heard about that. And she's like, I was there. I helped organize that. I was there right before they shot up the miners, or when we marched through that street. And you're like, she was like really everywhere. And so she wrote this autobiography back in 1940.
Wow.
And this is the official reissuing of this after about 60, maybe 40 years or so of being out of print.
Oh.
So this is a new foreword that they asked me to write for it, because she actually, during her time of activism, wrote for The People's World, which is the publication that I'm one of the editors on. So they asked me to write the foreword. And so, yeah, it's out pretty much everywhere right
That's so
now.
cool.
Like, yeah, international publishers. And it was really just exciting to read her autobiography and just see so much of that history, and then to be able to kind of put that in words of how we can relate to that today and why it's so like relevant.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
That's so cool. I'll put links to it in the description where
Thanks.
people can get. If you have a preferred link, just let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. I guess until next time, I want to do social media. Where can people find you?
Well, yeah, that app.
I know, but that.
Yeah, you can find me on X or Twitter at MS Chauncey KR. I also have my website, Chauncey K Robinson, where I just kind of compile where my different articles and stuff are. You can also find me on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm an official Rotten Tomatoes critic, and also Cherry Picks.
Great.
Nice. And soon on Dead Meat.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
How could I forget
Oh my
that?
god, I'm so excited for
So
that.
cool. Yeah.
Production Tales from Hell.
Yes. For Dead Meat, you can find us on everything at Dead Meat James on Twitter/X, Instagram and Twitter, and TikTok is the other one.
I'm at Carebeck, CREBECC on X and Instagram. And if you want merch, deadmeatstore.com. Are the Lucy plushes out yet?
They are. There are
You can get a
plushes of our
plush.
cat.
Yes. You
Yes.
get a plush
I
of our
want
cat.
one.
Yeah.
Yes. They're very cute. We have one downstairs.
oh my
We'll show it to you.
That's
They're super squishy. Very cute.
And more new merch coming soon, thanks to Ben. Dropping pretty soon, I think next month maybe, or a couple
Awesome.
of weeks. So keep an eye out for that.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, until then, I'm Chelsea.
And I'm James.
That's Chauncey.
Yes, hi.
And this has been the Dead Meat Podcast.